Hallo, liebe Leser des Uhrenkosmos. Herzlich willkommen heute aus Neuchâtel. Wolfgang Winter und ich, Peter Wiedold. Wir sind heute eben in Neuchâtel am Place des Alpes, in dem Zentrum dieser sehr, sehr schönen Stadt. Und wenn man genau schaut, sieht man hier die tolle Uhrenmarke Bayeux, die wir beide gleich für den ganzen Tag besuchen dürfen. Wir wurden eingeladen für die Watchmakers Experience. Das heißt, wir dürfen uns gleich erstmal mit Thomas Bayeux unterhalten, dem Gründer. Dann lernen wir das Design-Team kennen und danach haben wir auch die Möglichkeit, uns noch an den Uhren selber zu versuchen und einer Verschalung eines Werks zuzuschauen.
Man muss ja sagen, dass es wirklich ein Glück ist, weil nicht nur das Neuchâtel eine wunderbare Stadt ist, aber auch eine Marke besuchen zu können, deren Geschichte ganz eng mit der Marke verbunden ist und praktisch über 250 Jahre zurückgeht, ist ein seltenes Vergnügen. Und ja, wir sind sehr gespannt, was uns dieses junge Uhrenunternehmen alles zu zeigen, alles zu erzählen. Schaut euch mit uns.
Ganz herzlichen Dank. Kommt mit. Jetzt gehen wir rein.
Gehen wir.
Ja, guten Morgen, liebe Fans des Uhrenkosmos. Wir sind jetzt endlich drinnen hier bei Bayeux und zwar ganz genau sogar bei Thomas Bayeux, dem Gründer der Marke. Und wir haben ja die wunderbare Gelegenheit, dass wir heute hier in Neuchâtel sein dürfen. Wir werden gleich noch die Uhrmacher kennenlernen, wir werden noch das Designteam kennenlernen und kriegen somit einen kompletten Überblick über deine neue Marke hier in Neuchâtel. Wir machen das Interview jetzt hauptsächlich auf Englisch.
Probieren ein bisschen in Deutsch auch.
Genau.
Weil es kommt einfach auf Englisch.
Thomas, I had the pleasure to meet you several times over the last few months, and I've always met a very happy, energetic guy with a clear vision. But you were born in the 70s in the quartz crisis in the Watch Valley, so you must have had lots of depressed, miserable neighbors. Where did you get that energy from?
Actually, yes, I was born in La Chaux-de-Fonds in 71. And I got to meet all these, I wouldn't say depressed, fighting people. My father was a journalist, head of a newspaper. So it was his newspaper. It was the voice of the region, the voice of the watch industry. So at lunch, we had Mr. Hayek, Mr. Bloom, Mr. Banvart, all these entrepreneurs that have made watchmaking what watchmaking is today. So they were there at lunch with my father. I was a bit busy with my Lego playing, but still I could hear those people that were not depressed. They were fighting and they were visionary, saying that an obstacle, a problem, is an opportunity. And that's always my vision. And actually, I would even say I'm stimulated by obstacles and by Widerstand. I think this is something very stimulating. And yes, you have always known me happy and energetic. This is what you get when you live with passion.
Okay.
And this project is definitely my passion.
I can definitely see from what we've seen so far that there are a lot of happy faces here on the floor in Neuchâtel. But you're the most delayed watch brand, if I may say so. There's
I like the formula.
250 or you've prepared the longest, maybe that's even better. Yeah.
It's a very funny story. If you are born in La Chaux-de-Fonds, there is a great chance, of course, that you have something in your family to do with watchmaking. I knew from my father about Ulysse Bayot, a full watchmaker, a senior watchmaker in Le Locle from late 19th century. But that was more or less, that was it. And as I did create this project that turned to be a brand, we'll speak about it, now 6 years ago, throughout these 6 years, I've been contacted by several Bayot around the world to understand that it's a bright community. And I've researched a bit in the history of the family, and we came up with amazing surprises to me. The first written proof of a Bayot in Neuchâtel doing watches is back 1775. That's another date we share with Abraham Louis Breguet, by the way. And this is the first written proof of Bayot family doing watches in the state of Neuchâtel. And since then, we have about 20 Bayot from my family, or from the same tree, that have been doing cases. They have been leading the watch schools, or many different examples. And we even got to find a Bayot watch, late 19th century, a full gold pocket watch that still works. That shows that, as we say in French, or in English, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. So yeah, I'm the most delayed watchmaker because my brand, we will not revise history. My brand is 6 years old. But this project, this heritage is back 250 years. So it's not a coincidence, by the way, that I created a watch brand.
What I often hear from people who are reading the Uhrenkosmos websites is that they're looking for an honest watch. They want to get a watch where there's a certain transparency, that they actually know what they're getting in terms of quality, or maybe even a transparency where you can look into the movement and see the finishing, see the quality.
Name it Bayot.
Yeah. And they want to get an honest, good deal. Can you maybe explain why this is at the core of your brand?
It probably has to do something with my childhood. I'm from La Chaux-de-Fonds. La Chaux-de-Fonds is a proletarian city. We know the worth of work. We know the worth of the product. And I always like to say, I was born in the kitchen of the watch industry, not in the buffet, when you see all the...
You sometimes get the best food in the kitchen when you're sitting there with the food.
And you know how to cook it. You know how to select.
And you say,
the
this one I won't touch, but this one...
That's exactly it. You select the right ingredients. And this is exactly what I did. And you see, for me, if you have this, I'm a child from the Watch Valley, from La Chaux-de-Fonds. So all my friends, all my family is active in the watch industry. So I can definitely select the right partners when it comes to product, design, production, etc., etc. And being from La Chaux-de-Fonds, again, I want to respect exactly the work of my friends. And you see, for me, there are two key players in the industry that have been completely forgotten, really forgotten. I'm 20 years in that industry, and I was born in that industry. The guy who produced the watch, the guy or the girl who produced the watch, actually at 6 a.m. in the morning in La Chaux-de-Fonds, my friends doing the case, the watch.
It's manual work, actually.
It's manual work. And these guys are out of the picture. It's only about the brand. And you, who pay my salary, the salary of everyone, who pays Watches and Wonder, who pay all these things, it's the end consumer, the guy who swipes the credit card to buy our watches. And nobody knows them, nobody thanks them. The end consumer, end kunde, I always figure it like this table. Imagine a very long table. You have so many people sitting there, the supplier, the brand, the consultant, the famous ambassador, influencers, blah, blah. All these guys,
translators,
they have a great, great dinner. Wine, food, cheese. They enjoy a wonderful dinner. At the end of the table, there is one guy sitting. He doesn't eat. Nobody talks to him. And at the end of the dinner, he stands up, he pays, and nobody says thank you.
Yeah.
That's you. And I'm not okay with that. I've been too long in that industry. To take this thing, it's only about the brand, and you know there is a very, I shouldn't say arrogant way of telling, I will see if I sell your watch, you have to wait. These guys pay our salary. And this guy that you don't even know his name that works in your company, that guy produced the watch, produced what makes you eat. So let's respect those two players and let's bring them as close as possible. So when you have this logic of respecting your product, respecting your customers, and making them as close as possible, meaning the best possible prices in the market, you get exactly my philosophy. And when you mix it, because it's you know, that's the cooking, but you have the sausage, the sauce, when you mix it with passion, this is exactly what you get with like a bunch of kids from the Watch Valley that one day decided to do things by our way, correctly, and put passion before profit, and make the best possible watches as we know how to do it at the best possible price.
Okay, yes, very clear. What I hear from our readers is they start with the passion for the product, and then they want to feel the product as much as possible. And that's where a lot of the passion you guys bring to the product gets lost in the process in the general industry. So as a response, Bayeux has invited me and Wolfgang Winter to come to Neuchâtel to actually experience it firsthand. And we got a nice schedule. Part of it is experiencing the brand here inside, experiencing what the watchmaker does, how the design process works, but it goes further.
But wait, there is a designer.
Yes.
You know, it's very easy for me. I can take external designer. I take another guy who make the production. I don't even see the timepiece because they ship directly to that consumer. And it's called just a marketing address. Here we have a beautiful office. You hear maybe the noise now. It's my watchmakers who assemble the watches. Every watch is assembled here by hand, not by machine, etc. And we have Liliane, our famous senior designer, who designs everything. So again, even if I'm
able to ask her questions directly.
Yes, and I wanted to make things again correctly as we know how to do it here. We design our watches, we assemble the watches ourselves, and we try to connect as much as possible with the public. And another thing that you said is that you have to come because people want to believe or see. And you know what? That's the funniest thing in my brand. We have, I'm sorry, it will not be very humble, looks arrogant, but it's true. We have the best prices of the industry in anything we do.
I mean, you know, the German way of saying this is, das muss man begreifen. Man muss mal auch so eine Chapter 8 begreifen, in der Hand halten.
Das ist genau unser Problem. Wenn wir 3 oder 4 Mal die Preise von unseren Produkten hätten, dann die Leute werden uns glauben.
Yeah.
And just because we have those prices, but again, that's the problem with the tourbillon. Nobody believes us. If I would set that tourbillon at 50,000 euro, nobody would question that it's Swiss made anymore. And because we have the best possible prices around 8,000 euro, everybody thinks it's not possible. It's not as nice as possible. It's Photoshop or it's Chinese or it's nothing of this. And this is why
it smells like that.
And this is why we invited you. And this is why we try to connect so much with our end consumer. That's why we go to Düsseldorf, we go to Vienna. And that's why we have as well this WeCommerce that is the foundation of my project, so that people can interact, meet with the product, das Produkt zu begreifen und zu probieren, dass die Qualität steht und dass die Preise sind wirklich viel für die Qualität.
Und ich hatte das in einem, I've heard this in a previous interview you've given, you have produced in the last 6 years something like 1,500 tourbillons.
Makes us one of the biggest exporter of Swiss watches.
So it's not this wonderful piece that you presented at the Geneva in Geneva in March. You produced. This so nicely finished. It's not an experimental piece. You have expertise in producing tourbillons at this level.
After selling 1,500 tourbillons, if they weren't good, trust me, people will know it. And yes, we're now very famous, but we are very famous here. I mean, most of our timepieces are sold in the Romandie, in the Watch Valley. So
To people who know.
but he will work in the industry. And this is our biggest pride. Most of our customers are people working in the watch industry. As we say in the kitchen, if the cook eats his own food, it's pretty much a good sign.
Like, I always check when I go to a restaurant if I see locals in the restaurant.
Definitely.
And if I see lots of locals and there's a queue,
Yeah, but check
check
the rest of the people here and check the rest of many journalists as well. They have adopted our brand here. And definitely after 1,500 tourbillons, we master definitely the technique. And the tourbillon you have here, a flying tourbillon. Thanks for noticing the case, because everybody looks at the tourbillon, but the case, 904L stainless steel, is all curved, and this is a headache to produce. And we produce this in La Chaux-de-Fonds. The company who produced this, Iseotech, produces, I will not give other names, but imagine the big four. Some of these big brands are producing exactly in the same place. So we reach out exactly to the same suppliers that make the best watches in the world.
Yeah.
The most expensive.
Definitely. The finishing is superb. Given your price point, of course, you do models in steel. The one that have different colors may have a PVD coating then, right?
Or for tourbillon, we make DLC, which is even a higher grade of coating.
I see all this passion. I see a clear vision or guideline that you have for how business should be done.
Yep.
I was told we will hear the design vision as well.
From Liliane, yes.
So I guess after 250 years of preparation, you will also need to start to get close to the customers. Where can, for example, German clients experience these watches?
We are slowly entering Germany. We receive a lot of orders from the internet, but we have one foot already in Germany, München, Jubilee Hill Shop. And that was kind of a test for us. And the sales are exactly where we thought it would be. We're selling extremely well. And the idea is to reach the main cities. I'm not interested in having 200 points of sales. By the way, if success goes too fast in Germany, then we will be in trouble, because we can hardly supply Swiss, French, which is 2 million people, and we sometimes have a problem to supply this. So imagine more than 80 million in Germany. If they get passionate about my brand, that would be a problem. So slowly, little by little, 15, 20 doors maybe in Germany in the future, and focus on one key independent retailer per city, a guy that understands about nice watchmaking.
And it's also like Juwelier Hilscher, they're very passionate about the product.
Not just passionate, I mean, he's forward thinker, he's open, he has the best brands, but he always as well respects his customer and bring new novelties, new projects. So we are definitely looking for this type of retailers. We are offering amazing, of course, conditions and amazing sales. I think that's the most interesting.
Let's move on to the company Bayeux more. A lot our readers tell us they like to buy from a brand where they like the brand or like the values of that brand.
Sure.
How do you run the business? How many layers of management are there? How accessible are you for your employees? How transparent is it for the team?
What is for sure is that you don't only buy a design. Design is important, but we have seen lately in a Deloitte study that design plays a role, but values, etc., is also very important. You wear a story, you wear emotion, and that emotion. See, I don't call them my employees. I call them my colleague, and that makes all the difference. And you can ask them. It's a reality. I'm absolutely not interested in ego things, in being the boss or whatsoever. It's a project that we carry with my colleagues or my friends here. We all have exactly the same vision, which is passion before profit, and make the best of the watch industry, of what we know how to do, accessible. And you will find all employees here having exactly the same vision. I'm totally available, pretty busy, of course, but totally available, not just for meetings, but if you visit my office, you will see that I skipped my office and I put a baby foot.
Tischkicker.
So es gibt einen Tisch und es gibt einen Tischkicker.
Yeah.
If it's very important and we have to sit, then we sit on the Tisch, on the table. But then if it's something more light that we have to speak, then we go and play together. And that's really very much the philosophy. I am trying to be always as possible available to my customers. That's why the biggest and the best room has been designed to receive our customers. And we are trying to be, to offer as much as possible an experience. That's why in our companies, and we are, I think, the only one, we offer with the Neuchâtel Tourism, so the local entity, staatliche Tourismus. The people can come and live an experience of visiting. You did this as well. Visiting the city, understand the watchmaking in Neuchâtel, 1704, if I'm not mistaken, and by your history as well in Neuchâtel. And then you come here, you assemble your watch. So it's you assembling the watch you will wear. And then we dress the table here and we have lunch together with myself, with my colleagues. You meet the design, you meet the marketing, and you meet the family. And that's really what I would like to continue and do is having like a family approach of the people working here and the people adopting the brand. It's more a philosophy of enjoying a passion that we share here about doing very beautiful watchmaking.
We will actually do the guided tour later on in the afternoon.
It's a bit rainy today, I'm very sorry.
But if it's raining,
you're joking, it's okay.
we're going to go to the cathedral, and we were told there's actually a Bayeux symbol in one of the church windows. So
there is Bayeux is one of the oldest family from the Neuchâtel, 1341. So it's 50 years after the creation of Swiss Confederation. Neuchâtel was not part of it, only in the 19th century, but it's one of the oldest family, and we have our crest in the church. Then there is the castle, the biggest room. It's called the Knight room. There is a huge painting with the Bayeux Knight defending the bridge. I think it was from the French invasion. Better maybe you don't film this because he's cutting all the heads.
So maybe it's the Bayeux watchmaking defending against all these digital wearable instruments.
You know what? I bought an Apple Watch yesterday, so I'm fan of digital. No, you have definitely. Look, if you look at my name, if you look at my logo, I know that's a question many times raised among customers. What's this? It was meant to be unpronounceable, so I reached the objective. Nobody knows how to pronounce it. And I'm fed up after 6 years explaining, but still, that's my fault. The name doesn't belong just to me, it's to my family. So I thought it was very arrogant to name my brand by Bayeux. It's not just me, it's my brothers. I have a brother working for another watch brand, so I cannot just say it's my brand, it's my name. Therefore, I twisted it with 1 and 0. I didn't know myself it was BA111OD or BA110D, but who cares? No brand, no branding, no spending. And that was the idea. But it's a traditional brand, and you see it from the font of my brand logo, born in the digital era. Therefore, 1 and 0, which is the binary code.
Yeah.
So we want to be forward thinking. And yesterday I bought an Apple Watch Series 11. I'm fan of this. And it's not a watch. It's a wrist tool that has exactly the same thing as the watch is for my ancestor. It has a function. But the function that this has today is to be beautiful, and it has a soul. The function of an Apple Watch is to tell me that I should do sport, that this and that. It's functional. Let's have both of these beautiful work together. We are definitely forward thinking in the digital era. We use all the digital tools possible here in this company. But when it comes to the product, we do the very true and state-of-the-art Swiss-made products and watches. And when it comes to prices, we make it the lowest possible. And trust me, sometimes people get angry in the industry at me because they say, raise your prices. It's not just because I cannot. I could definitely double all the prices of my product and still be very competitive. I don't want, because 1,000 euro, 500 euro
Is something
it's a lot of money.
you respect.
I'm a proletarian city. I come from a proletarian city. 1,000 euro is a lot of money.
Well, thank you for sharing all of this. I now have a lot of questions for your designer when I meet her later on.
Yes.
I'm very excited to see.
To understand the soul that I put in the watch.
Mechanics, because we will be putting a watch together.
Oh, sorry.
And then I hope the rain is going to stop, and we're going to see the famous Bayeux night and the famous Bayeux logo.
Yeah.
So,
But it's, it's a place, Neuchâtel. It's mostly La Chaux-de-Fonds for the insiders that is known for producing all the parts of the industry there. But most of these people here in Neuchâtel, or a lot comes from here. And for us, it was important, and I cannot believe that we're the first brand to state Neuchâtel in our logo. Yeah, I'm sorry, I live 14 years in Geneva. I love Geneva, but it's not just about Geneva. Historically, Geneva has been the place where we sell the watches. But goddamn, they were produced in my valley.
yeah. So
And we have to be proud about this.
we will have a look where they're being put together.
Good luck with
Thomas, thank you for getting the inspiration and resistance from the quartz crisis, being so full of energy, bringing your passion into these wonderful chapters of the Bayeux history.
Yeah. And thanks to you for listening, and of course for helping and always backing not just my brand but the Swiss watch industry, because I'm part. It's exactly like a watch. You have all these teeth. I'm one teeth out of the big machine or the big industry, and it's
Just the nicely polished teeth was doing a lot of heavy lifting at a very efficient rate.
So try to bring as much power as possible. Yes.
So, Thomas,
Thank you very much
for having us.
Vielen Dank.
All the best.